Hello everybody and welcome to another quick update from the South Coast GT 2014. I'm here with Wayne, how you doing?
Hello. Yeah, it's been a tiring day today, hasn't it?
Yeah, as you can see we're probably not looking the most awake you've ever seen us, but it has been a long day. We got up early to rearrange the table spacing as we weren't happy with it again this morning, but that's all said and done and we're actually into round 3 now. So what have you been your highlights so far, Wayne, from the event?
There's a few armies here I haven't seen before. There's a really good Orc and Goblin army. It's got a really kind of old feel to it. It's a bit like Jeremy Vetok's army. I love that army. There's lots of little details on it, checks and stuff like that, and it's quite brightly coloured, which I like that style of painting. It's a nice Empire army. There is some. Yeah, I quite like the fact that the winners from last year aren't not that they're not here, because it'd be nice to see them come back, but something new is going to win the painting trophy.
Sure.
It's still going to be new guys. So yeah, really cool. And there's been relatively few rules issues. It's not been anything major, is there?
No, we've not had any really. We had a bit of a discussion over whether it's possible to swift freeform in a building, which is something we've previously house ruled has not been allowed here, but this year it's fine. I think there's a lot of legitimate reasons to swift freeform into the building. It's the first turn on the watchtower scenario that people don't particularly like, so we've taken it out. But no, we've not had anything. Most of them have been easily answered by the rule book, but people get lazy and see us walking past in our judges' tops and these today, and just ask us out of ease. But no, nothing major. It's been pretty good. What about sportsmanship, Wayne? Found that pretty good going so far?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of incidents where I've kind of not really happy with, but you always get that. I mean, 200 players, you're going to get that sometimes, and but yeah, it's hard to talk about because obviously we're not going to name names, and if I name the situations, then obviously it's obvious who the players are. But yeah,
but we'd say what, 200 people, and we've seen 2 issues,
yeah.
And they're not big arguments. We're not talking big punches. We're just talking stuff that they could do with chilling a bit. It's one of those.
Just calming down and actually being a bit nicer to each other.
But so I'd say overall no issues. It's just literally a couple of people getting a little bit heated in that last round, I think, and different opinions and cultures, etc. So but that's fine. And what about the general painting standard? I suppose we should say we have rules here that if you don't meet our standards, we will remove your models. We've barely had to do it in the past. We did do it today, didn't we? Took a few models off. Players took it well. I think they knew it was coming. We haven't been majorly strict because we don't like people travelling all this way. But one guy, we wouldn't let him play with his army, so I went home and picked my army up and gave him that.
And he's now on table one.
He's on table 1. So the joke is that it's a long time since one of my armies saw table 1. Cheeky. But yeah, so he's doing all right. And we took a few people's models off who basically, to give you an example, someone asked me on Twitter, there was a blue tack or plasticine, I don't know how you describe it in other countries, poster putty, that's what it's called, isn't it, in other countries? Ogre. So there's a few bits that weren't quite right, and we've spoke to a few players as well, things where there's bases on the table and no pterodons, or bases for things that we haven't seen the model for, that are broken. So these things, they might be legitimately broken, but we have to enforce and make sure they are, and they're not just people trying to circumvent the rules. So, and we've had it's going to be a show topic, I think, but we had quite a bit of a chat about proxies, didn't we? What constitutes a proxy?
It's a real grey area, because you've got some proxies which were painted for other armies, but they do fit in with the paint scheme of the army they've been used with, so they kind of don't stand out. And then you've got others which are just blatant, just taken from they're just wrong. But the guys that are using them think it's fine, and then we have to have that chat with them, and it's all a bit awkward. But I think it's worse when you've got experienced players doing it. They should know better. We should never have to have that conversation with them.
No,
they should know.
We've got to say, actually, some of this proxying business. Give an example. Let's talk about one example. There's a What Would Curry Do If You've seen on the Bad Dice Daily Demon Army here, which involves a unit of 16 Beasts of Nurgle. Twitter users have rightly asked me, aren't they just crypt horrors? And they are. They're green crypt horrors, exactly from the vampire army he's used before. And that was one of the key discussions we had. Are these just proxies? But where does that draw a line? Is it a case of somebody who has chaos wolves instead of dire wolves? Is that a problem, or is that thematic in a von Carstein army? There's a lot of different views and opinions on this, and it's something we'll probably do a show on, but interesting subject.
If you were running like a 20-man tournament, you had one person doing it, you could approach that one person and just say, look, don't do it, change it, make it right. But when you've got 200 players and suddenly you've got 20 players that are doing it, it creates all sorts of problems, and then you've got varying degrees of,
offences.
And it makes it really, really difficult. You got to deal with it. You still got to deal with it, but it's kind of like where, like you said, where do you draw the line? It's a tricky one. The Crypt Horror one is, the way he's painted it and the way it's based is exactly the same as the rest of the Nerd.
It does look like it's meant to be in that army. The only reason we know it wasn't from that army is because we've seen the other army over the years.
But I only knew that because you said you'd played against his VC army with those in. If you hadn't said that to me, I wouldn't have known. I would have just assumed that he wanted to use Crypt Horrors as Beast and
we had a disagreement about this as judges. We can't decide, so we did the best of what we thought were the clear ones and left the ones that are marginal. But I think it is something for future to discuss, certainly. But we won't bore you with it on the video. It's more just a topic that came up, and I know some of the guys on Twitter were asking about that particular unit because it's been in several shots. But we went into Adepticon last weekend and there were similar things. So it's not unusual. I'm sure it happens in every Warhammer scene. So
everyone uses other models for stuff to varying degrees. Modelling depending on how good a painter you are. I like to have other models as like unit fillers and kind of create a theme to an army. That goes on all the time. So you might get people that will argue, oh well, I'm not as good a painter as other people, so why can't I do it? But they get away with it because they're a better painter. So there's a whole can of worms that can be opened over this. And I do see the arguments either way. I do. That's what makes it tricky.
Who knew this was a subjective hobby, eh? Unfortunately, one of those things. So overall, it's all gone well. All the people have taken it in good nature. There's been some good drinking, some eating. We seem to get everyone through the canteen just about, which is good considering the amount of people we got in here. I've had no real problems. Currently winning up the top. I know it's early doors, it's only round 3, but I'd imagine Ben Curry's going to pick out a win out of that game. A relatively inexperienced vampire player that I gave the list to this morning versus Ben, who's played a million games with Dark Elves, so I'd imagine he'll end up leading the tournament. The one key thing about this tournament is the rankings after day 1 aren't necessarily the final rankings, because the way the composition system works meant that we didn't rank. When we did the draw, we ignored the composition score, which in the final rankings is a separator, but there was no point separating it during the rounds because you'd pretty much always play someone with the same comp score and the system wouldn't work. If you don't know what we're talking about, make sure you check the pack out and it'll become clear why it wouldn't work. But so although the rankings are still, the people that won the most games are still at the top of it, at the minute VPs have a bigger influence than they will at the final rankings, so be interesting to see. What about painting? What have you seen that's good?
Well, like I said, the Orc and Goblin army, the Empire army, there's a really nice Ogre army as well. But he literally got all the painting done, but all he could do was sand the bases. So the bases are they just literally flat sand. But the army itself is lovely. It's got all the Maul tattoos, Maul tattoos, all on the shoulders, backs, faces. Banners are really nice. It's really cool. Obviously, we'll put pictures up so you guys can see all the armies.
Yeah, we'll go take a look at some of those tomorrow lunchtime when we do the update. You'll see then a lot more because we'll do all the best armies in a row.
All the nominations,
I mean, if I was going out there, and no disrespect to the good armies we've got here, I'd probably say this is the weakest field I've seen, if I'm being honest, in terms of the best painting,
real
standout
armies. Oh, the Bretonian army.
Yeah, there's a nice one. There's a lot of nice armies, but we normally see a couple of stunners, and I don't feel that this weekend so far. I don't know about you.
No, I mean, when we get down to the nitty gritty of going through the nominations and really giving them close up and try and give them the credit they deserve and really have a look at the work that's gone into them, maybe we'll change our minds. Maybe there'll be 2 or 3 armies there we go, actually they're really, really good. But at the moment we've not been blown away.
No, definitely not. But on the other hand, the overall standards, I think it's the overall standards one of the higher we've had in terms of, if you look at an average, I'd say the average standard's one of the best.
Yeah, the average is definitely higher.
I mean, there's some borderline things here, but that's the same everywhere. But the overall average, if you were picking, so you could probably pick 30 of the same standard armies that are of a high standard, just not that awesome standard that we're kind of used to at an event this big. So it'd be interesting to see.
The biggest thing that people have slipped up on, their armies are cohesive, but their basing isn't. It's amazing the amount of people that we've had to drop points on the cohesion mark simply because they haven't got the right, all the same movement trays, or they've got a few models in there that are based different. Literally, I mean, one army that I had to mark down had one model that was based different, 1 foot model that was based different from the rest of the army, and I've had to take.
Every model's not cohesive, is it?
Yeah, so, and it's kind of like you could have avoided that really easily.
Yeah. So, and we were joking. We should say he's fixed it now, but I tweeted a picture of a 220 odd Skaven army that had one, all completely really nice, one model with an unpainted base, but he had another model in his case, so he just swapped it out. He just
put
didn't.
the wrong model
he
on,
put the wrong model on. Yeah, but so apologies to Dan. Your army's beautiful, but when we marked it, it didn't have it on. All right. So anyway, that's probably it. Anything else you want to talk about at this point?
No, I think especially with painting, we can go into more detail about it tomorrow because obviously we'll have a better idea of who's in the running. But at the moment, yeah, it's gone pretty good actually. It's gone pretty smooth. We've not really had any issues. You know, it's been good natured as it always is. It's had a bit of a party sort of feel to it. And there's a lot of guys that come here that only do this tournament, and they keep coming back year after year. So
and a lot of new guys as well. So I'm looking forward tonight to getting some of the new guys on mic, seeing how they found their first tournament, and maybe to getting some of the experienced guys getting some early feedback. Be interesting to see. So obviously it's our event. We like to think it's great, but you know we all know there's things we can improve on. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. So I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to go around and have a look now at the armies and see if you can see some of the action from the top tables. Hopefully it will tell you something. I know tomorrow will be even more important as the day goes on. Of course, if you like the videos, please like it and subscribe to the channel so you can get all the latest updates. Make sure you check out our podcast, www.healinghammer.com, and for all the consolidated photo footage from the weekend, please be sure to pick up our Instagram, and the username is Healinghammer. That's it. Enjoy.
Table 1.
Boost your doom bolt and a tower guys. This one. This one.
The Black Sun in full kits. Full football kits.
Shoot down the. Yeah, like that.
A comet either side of the Battonian lance. Temple Guard looking at the flank. Pretty dodgy.
So how many doors does it take? 9. One left. It's got one left.
Fox Mike looking like he's about to lose it all. He might not. He might pull it out. Lizardman style.
Bouncing.
Yeah.
Wait, go away. I was just about. Hang on. I was just about to cast Purple Sun.
Yeah. Last time you cast it. Left cannons. Killed these.
6 dice.
Early. So 4. 1. So this is a working waterfall terrain piece. Pretty clever.
Number 1, yeah, so 11.
His face. And then I'll painting legend Matt Sewell in action. His Tomb Kings. Yeah.
But it works out. I knew.
Angle one.